So my PhD project was, I did it quite late in life, which I love the fact that I did because it gave me the chance to do a passion project rather than something that I just wanted as a publication. My obsession with finding a place to belong was the main driver because since I left India at the age of 16, I never felt like I belonged. I just had this urge to want to belong. And so the PhD research in the end, it's called A Journey Round Myself, an Archeological Exploration of Identity. And what it was about was looking at, how does a person with a fractured geography, I suppose, put together the pieces of one's life. And it's very relevant to this whole issue of artifacts and preserving things. How does visual memory and memory actually contribute to creating a sense of self and a sense of identity in a new place? So the PhD was very complex in that it wasn't just a thesis. It started off, it was contained within this box, which I had managed to keep the original ticket of the P&O ship that we migrated out on, which was the SS Oronze. And here's an actual copy on the cover of the actual ticket with our cabin numbers, etc. And that was the journey from India to Australia. Now, if you recall, I said it was an archaeological exploration. So the whole idea was that the research was done through examining shards of one's experience or artifacts, small little bits that shed light upon who I was, where I was, and when I was. And as a result of it, it was presented in this box, which was in layers. And the idea was that as you unraveled or you dug, I suppose, to explore, you came upon various artifacts that told different parts of one's life. So there were 3 digital stories or short films, and they were all numbered as artifacts. One of them, the first one was an argument from silence, which was to do with my sexuality as a lesbian and as an Indian, and talking about the relationship between ancient Indian culture and single-sex relationships. Then there was one called A Journey Through Lost Time, which actually looked at the experience of migration through my photography and return trips to India. And the final one is called Lost in Translation, and that is probably the most impactful or powerful of them because it talks about my actual experience in Australia as a woman of colour. So it incorporates things like misogyny, patriarchy, and my involvement in the women's movement through various fights or protests one actually was involved in over time. So in it was also, so as you actually open these, you have different artifacts that talk about, this was basically about the process of it. I think one that is of more importance than the others is a fable that I wrote, which is a ficto memoir. It's in the voice of an baby elephant, and it's written in the metaphor of the narrators in the fable. So it's written in the style of the Panchatantra, which is the Indian, fabular method. But it's written in 7 parts, which is to do with a thing called the Guna philosophy, which is about every ending is a beginning. And Sath in Hindi is 7, so it's in 7 parts. So I made up a thing called Satha Tantra, but it's actually ficto memoir, so it also incorporates the whole experience of leaving India, coming to Australia, and life thereafter. This one was called The Hall of Mirrors, which was a physical, actual installation, a photographic installation. And this was about the women and one dog, my dog McTavish, who were the major influences in my life. So we've got, for example, my grandmother and my 2 grandmothers, and then we go on to my closest friend in school. And so it goes, and then it goes more into people like Simone de Beauvoir, who influenced things like my feminist philosophies. So that was a photographic installation. And then I referred to the family photo album. So as I couldn't include the whole album, this was, my mother had put together this album, which will be in the archive, called Happy Memories. And it's got photos of the family from way, way back. So once again, it looks at, these were my father's parents. My grandfather, my great-grandfather, his father, and he's wearing those medals, was actually knighted by Mussolini. He was the consul general to Italy during the war, and from Portugal. So there's sort of things, and so it goes through some of the key photographs out of that album that have relevance to my family. And finally, at the end of it all, there's the tome, A Journey Around Myself.